Hi everybody. Okay, welcome to my first part of my review of Clawheart Mountain by David Oppegaard. I cannot pronounce that. Um, Apologies for the dog that will keep on interrupting me and the fan in the background. It is hot as heck up here. So Clawheart Mountain is about a group of friends who are taking a end of summer vacation. They're going to a cabin in Clawheart Mountain, and on the way there they come across an armored vehicle that's abandoned and has $15 million in it, and they take the money. And on the other side, the people who that money is supposed to go to, they hire a trained killer to track down the money and bring it to them. On the other side, there is a creature that lives in the woods called a Wraith. Not a spoiler, it's in the description of the book, that is now hunting all the people, not just the characters. I think the Wraith is hunting like everybody that lives in Clawheart Mountain right now. That is what Clawheart Mountain is about. So, I read part 1, which was chapters 1 through 14, I believe. Yeah, chapters 1 through 14, and I've got a pretty good feel for the characters and like the setting and stuff. So our main characters are Nova, McKenna, Landon, Isaac, and Wyatt. They are the 5 friends. McKenna, Landon, Isaac, and Wyatt, they all know each other. They've all like hang out and stuff. Nova was invited along as McKenna's like last resort for bringing another girl with, so she wasn't the only girl going on the trip thing. Like, they're friends but not like super close friends, which I thought was interesting. It's just another way to make Nova the odd girl out, because she's also the odd girl out in that she doesn't have as much money as the rest of them. And I think it says in there that she's going to the private school, the high school, on a scholarship or something. So it makes a point to stand out that Nova is different from them. And they do that again with, they get to the armored vehicle and they see that it was obviously a wreck. They can see the path from where it fell from the road at the top of the hill. They can see the whole wreck of a path to where it landed on that road. And obviously the driver's missing. And Nova's like, we should call the cops, guys. This is bad. And McKenna and Landon, they're dating. They're kind of the instigators for, or we could just take the money and say we didn't see anything. Like, that's a lot of money. Like, they counted it up and it was 15 million, and they're like, yo, we could take that money. And Nova's like, that's illegal. And they're like, yeah, we know, we should still take it. It's like a really annoying back and forth of her going, guys, it's not right, and them going, but think of all the things we could do. We would be super rich, and it would be our money, not our parents' money. We would have to ask our parents for anything, doing that shit. And then she gets outvoted. They're like, okay, well, let's take a vote. Should we call the cops or should we take the money? And like, Nova really thought that they were all sitting there going, guys, we should take it. We're gonna vote with her to call the cops. She folds under peer pressure and takes the money with them. So they all take about 10 million. 10 million is there because later in the book it says like there's like 5 million left in the truck. They took as much as they could put in the car, basically. Like in suitcases and bags and stuff. They took as much as they could actually transport somewhere else. And then we have Bannock, the hired killer. And it's just so shoved in our face that he's supposed to be this badass killer that, like, I kind of don't like him because of it. Like, I love a bad guy, really do. I love me a villain. But they just want us to know, like, ooh, this guy's bad. Ooh, this guy's a killer. Like, there was this really, I felt like it was a pointless scene of him noticing someone in the roof across the street on his house. He noticed a person with like a scope and a sniper rifle or something, and he would like is able to sneak out his back door, get across the street, climb up that ladder and kill the dude. And it just seemed like a pointless scene to point out, ooh yeah, he's a badass, can't nobody get him. It just, I don't know. Also, it says made a point to say he doesn't like dogs. So I'm like, red flag in my book. You don't like dogs, I don't like you. I have to update I'm doing a kill count in this. Because 14 chapters in, we don't got a lot of bodies right now. So I forgot to add the guy who killed on the roof. I forgot that happened so fast because it was pointless to the story except to prove Bannock's a badass. They wouldn't have called him and offered him $2 million to get their money back if he wasn't a badass. I'm just saying, they wouldn't have hired him if he wasn't good at what he was doing. So there's that. There's this really weird scene when the kids get the money and drive away where there's an injured elk on the road, and like Nova's like, oh my god, stop, we have to do something. And it's like the elk is like about to die. It is obvious that the thing is about to die. Like, it got hit by the armored vehicle or something. Like, its antlers are broken, it's got a huge gash in its side, and she's like, we have to help it. And they all just kind of look at her like, bitch, how? What are we supposed to do with that? And like, it was this weird thing where like it walked up to the door, was looking her in the eye in the window, and then it just walked over to the side of the road and died. And I was like, okay, so that was a scene that happened. The elk is mentioned like a couple other times in the book, but not really. Like, Bannock, he comes across it with the guy that's driving him around to get the money, and he like takes part of its antler or something. But other than that, it's like, what the hell was that scene about? Like, what? Unless that elk magically comes back to life later or has any significance later in the book, I'm really confused. It was a good creepy scene. Like, if this was a movie, that would be creepy. But when you're reading it as a book, you're just kind of like, okay. I feel like this book is written ready to be a movie, because I feel like a lot of the stuff I'm gonna read would be creepier on screen than in print. I'm getting that impression. Yes, Penny, I see you and I love you. Go get it. So they get to the cabin. It's McKenna's parents' cabin. They get there, and like, they all put the money in a big pile and look at it. They're like, all right, let's divvy it up. We got to divvy it up evenly. And they all divvy it up evenly, and now they're all like celebrating, like, we're rich, bitches, we're rich. Even Nova's kind of feeling like, I got a lot of money now. This feels nice. But also she's got like that voice in the back of her head going, no good can come from this. This is gonna be bad. Like, she's got really bad anxiety apparently, and is already thinking like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to lie to my parents. Like, what are we gonna do? Oh my god, I'm a terrible liar. Like, she's already thinking all of these thoughts, but also thinking, oh my god, I have so much money. This is amazing. And they like have like a really weird like fancy dinner. It didn't feel right for teenagers. Like, for 18-year-olds, like, McKenna had set it all up. Like, she dimmed the lights, had classical music playing, and like had like wine poured in glasses, and even they were all like, this feels like we're having dinner with our parents. What the hell? And she was like, I'm just trying to add some class now that we're millionaires. And they're like, okay. It's weird. McKenna's a weird fucking character. Like, I feel like the writer's trying to make her be shallow and like materialistic to a point where you already don't trust her. You already know she's gonna be someone who's gonna backstab she's gonna double cross somebody. You can already tell that Landon, her boyfriend, is also going to double cross somebody, and maybe Wyatt. I think Nova and Wyatt are probably going to be the ones who survive in the end, just because throughout the interactions from what I've read, Wyatt has a good head on his shoulders, and like, I think he has a thing for Nova. Like, it seems like he flirts with her a lot, but he seems more rational. Like, at first he was like, yeah, we should call the cops too. But then they pulled the black card because Wyatt is the only black card, and he was like, whoa, me and cops, no thank you. And like, they get invited to a party by McKenna's neighbor. He was like, well, what kind of townspeople are this? Have they ever seen a black person before? So I can't tell which way they're gonna go with his character right now. spoiler alert, McKenna's like, oh my god, yeah, it's totally fine. You're not the only black person here, and he's the only black person at the party. Um, like, yeah, I read when I got to that scene, I was just kind of like, this bitch lied. Should have known. But that's for a little bit later. And then, okay, so they're at the house, and while they're divvying up the money and getting dinner ready and just partying like little rock stars because they have money, the sheriff and the deputy of Clawheart Mountain come across the wreckage because, you know, it's a big ass armored vehicle in the way. Eventually it was going to get discovered by somebody else. And they both see that the money is there, and they notice that there is some missing. There is a hole punctured in the package, and there's money missing. And they are like, well, we got to get this and this, like the armored vehicle and the money, back to the station. We're going to put the money in the deputy's trunk. We're not going to tell anybody that that money is there. For the love of God, we are not going to tell anybody how much money is in this trunk right now. Smart. And they notice, and I'm questioning how these kids didn't notice, but they are young. They're 18-year-olds hopped up on, oh my God, we've got money to steal. Didn't notice this, but the armored vehicle has a camera in it that the deputy and sheriff take and are sending to the town over to get analyzed for footage. So that's gonna be fun for later, because as of chapter 14, that hasn't happened. They haven't gotten results yet. But they get, at the time that they get to the sheriff takes the money to the station. Bannock and his driver Gideon are on the way to Clawheart Mountain. They find the elk. They find the path of wreckage where the armored vehicle would be. They see the police tape. They're like, okay, cool. The cops have the everything. At this point, they think all the money's in the armored vehicle still. The cops have it. They can clearly see that there was an accident. Like, that trail is just, you can't miss it. The trail from the one road down, like wrecked trees and like a wrecked path, and then all the police tape. They're like, okay, we gotta go to Clawheart Mountain now. And at this time, the deputy Serrano, she is canvassing the area. She's knocking on doors going, hey, did you guys happen to see a wreck on the road pretty big? And everyone's like, no. She gets to the kids at their cabin, and she asks that same question. McKenna answers the door, and you can already tell McKenna is like a spoiled rich girl. She lies like a pro. She's like, no, we would have noticed something like that. We've been here for a while. We didn't see anything when we were driving up. I'm an innocent blonde girl. And the shepherd's like, okay, well, if you remember anything or hear anything, you know, call the sheriff's department. And then as soon as the cop leaves and drives off, she's like, okay, you guys, we have to hide the money. And everyone's like, bitch. So, and then she goes, we're gonna hide the money and then we're gonna go to that party. So her priorities totally check out. So they do that. They're hiding the money. They pack all their money into their duffel bags and their suitcases, and McKenna takes them down this weird ass trail in the woods at night. They're all bundled up because it's kind of chilly up there. She takes them to this like fucking hole in the ground that leads to a little cave. She goes, my friend and I used to play in here all the time when we were little. It's completely secluded, totally safe. And everyone's like, what if there's snakes in there? Literally, they're just like, what if there's snakes in there? Not, what were y'all doing playing in the cave? And it makes Nova reminisce about a cave she used to go sit and read and journal in and just go to when the world was too much. I'm just like, did I have a weird childhood where I wasn't going and sitting in caves and reading? I just stayed in my room and read. Like, was I the weird one? Were people actually going out, sitting in caves and reading and waxing poetic about their life? Well, shit. So anyway, so they're like, okay, fine, we'll leave it here. We're just gonna leave it here for a couple of days till this all like blows over, and we'll come back and get it. So they throw all their suitcases in there and they like cover up the hole with like bushes and stuff to hide it. And my thing is, McKenna says no one knows about it, just her and her friend or her sister. And I'm like, how do you know? How do you know that no one knows about this when there's a bunch of other families that live up in the mountain that explore these mountains all the time? There's no guarantee that no one else knows about this. There's no guarantee that in 5 days that money's still gonna be there. But okay, whatever. Trust McKenna. It's totally fine. Whatever. So at this point, Bannock and Gideon go to the sheriff's and they're like scoping it out. Bannock's got a whole duffel bag of like tools and stuff, and he counts 2 people left in the sheriff's department. I am out of energy drinks and coffee, and I absolutely hate it. And he uses like a bow and arrow and like fiberglass bows as his choice of weapon. Well, I'm not a trained killer. I don't know why. I think guns might be loud. So I think this is why he did it this way. But our second confirmed kill, because, you know, guy on the roof. I'm saying confirmed because the driver could be injured and just limping around the woods of the armored vehicle. He could just be limping around the woods right now. Don't know yet for sure if he's dead. So he's a maybe kill. We've got 1 confirmed kill. Our second confirmed kill is a deputy that was just at his desk doing desk work stuff. He gets shot right through the chest. He was trying to reach for his gun when dude pulled the bow, but his gun was like buttoned and like buttoned up, and he was fumbling with it, and yeah, he didn't make it. The other guy in there is the sheriff, and I was rooting for the sheriff to be a character throughout the book. I'm disappointed. Sheriff gets shot in both shoulders because apparently he's like a big wide dude who looks like maybe he was like quarterback or something in high school. And Sheriff gets a knife to his throat after being shot in both shoulders, and Bannock's like, okay, you're gonna take me to where the money is. And Bannock's like, yo, this ain't all the money. Where's all the money? Did you take it? Did you hide it? What's going on? And the sheriff's like, I didn't. The sheriff basically gets tortured and fucked up to find the information. Bannock's like, all right, he has no idea where the money is, and kills them because, like, you know, he can't leave witnesses, obviously. So he leaves. So this is 3, and I'm laughing because it's like the people hiring you couldn't have set up for you to have a place. You had to do this. They break into some old people's home, like this old couple. He kills their dog, which again, fuck him. I don't like Bannock because he doesn't like dogs. And then they tie up the old people in their bed, and they've just been chilling at this house while they wait for orders on what else to do. And the people that hired him, they're like, we're only going to pay you 1/3 of what we promised because only 1/3 of our money was found. If you want your whole pay, find the rest of our money, and we'll give you an extra $1 million. And he's like, okay. Like, literally, he doesn't take that long to think about it because he's just like, okay, whatever, fine. Like, he doesn't care either way. It feels like he's not a killer motivated by money. Like, he just likes to do it. And it says in there that he missed killing, and like, it was like, felt like he was bonding with like his ancestors when he did it and stuff. And I'm just like, okay. But so they decide to kill the old couple. So that's 5 confirmed, 2 unconfirmed. I'm assuming there were like 2 drivers, so it's either 1 or 2 confirmed. I'm assuming the armored vehicle had at least 2 drivers. With that much money, there gotta be at least 2. And so now we're at like, okay, the weird exposition part about the Wraith. And so it's kind of craftily put in. They do it in the way, how do I explain it? They do it in the way you do it in the movies, where it's like new people meeting the townsfolk, and there's that one kid that's like, ha ha ha, bet you ever heard the rumor of da 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 da, and they're like, oh, you and your ghost stories, and the new people are like, oh, go on. That's what happened. So after they had the money, McKenna leads them to the Overlook, is what it's called, where a neighbor and his friends are already there. There's like 6 other people there, the neighbor, 3 girls, 3 guys, and then McKenna and the other 4 show up, and they're all sitting there. And like I said, she's told Wyatt he'd be totally fine. He's not the only black person up here, and he's literally the only black person at this party. And they're all passing out beers, joking, having fun. And then one guy named Max says something like, yeah, a lot of people go missing up here. Like, he just all of a sudden, they were talking about how it's nice up here and stuff. And he goes, yeah, but a lot of people go missing. And Colton's the neighbor. He goes, man, nobody wants to hear your ghost stories tonight. And Wyatt's like, I like ghost stories. So we get the story of the Wraith and where the Wraith came from. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it because you just read the book. It basically, witch's curse. I'm just going to, witch's curse, man got super hungry, became a beast. There you go. That's the story of the Wraith, called The Hunger in the Mountain. And everyone else is going back to chit-chatting, and Nova is like, I want to sit and ponder this story more. Everyone else doesn't want to believe, but I want to go ponder. So she goes and like walks off and is like staring up at the sky and is like, I should call my mom and tell her everything, but oh my god, I can't. And she's just like staring, and she just does this till people are like, yo, come back. She's like, and then she does, and that's like how it ends. And I don't know, Nova is also a really weird character for me. Like, it's her point of view for stuff happening, and I don't give a shit what happens to her. I think I'm rooting for Wyatt. He's the funniest. He's got the most personality so far out of all of these that aren't just basic like cookie cutter personalities. And I just want Bannock to die because he doesn't like dogs. Like, who doesn't love dogs? Doesn't even say doesn't like it because of allergies and stuff. It's because like they make noise and they let people know when you're coming. I'm like, Drogo just made a noise because Penny's fucking with him. But I don't know. I think if anybody's gonna survive, it better be Wyatt, or I'm flipping tables in a rage. But that is as far as we have gotten. I don't trust McKenna. And that also means I don't trust Landon because they're a couple. I feel like McKenna is a backstabby bitch who's going to do backstabby bitchy things. And she's going to fuck somebody over. There's going to be like a moment where it's like, we have to do the right thing. And she's going to be like, I don't want to do the right thing. I want the money. And it's going to fuck everything up. And that's where it's all going to go downhill. Is someone's going to get too greedy, not agree with the actual plan of everybody else, and it's all gonna get fucked up. That's about it. Bannock's gonna get some more bodies. We're at 5. I'm expecting at least 4 more because the Wraith is gonna make a freaking appearance. It's in the description, in the bio, the synopsis. The Wraith is gonna make his appearance now that we have the story of how the Wraith came to be in Clawheart Mountain. There's gonna be an appearance now. Hi, Penny. So I'm excited to see what happens next in the next part. So there's 2 more parts, and I'm hoping to read this quickly. I am starting a new job this week, so we'll see how much time I have to read. But it was a quick read. Like, it does read very nice. The setting, the descriptions, all of that is really nice. You just question the actions of the kids. Like, you just question the actions of some of the people in the book. You just kind of, like in horror movies, you're like, why would you do that? Stop. That kind of thing. But other than that, I am enjoying it so far, and I hope that I keep enjoying it. I hope I don't get left with like bitter disappointment. That's about it. That is all I have for part 1 of Clawheart Mountain. Enjoying it. Recommend you read it. So far, so good. Let me know what you think if you're reading it or if you have read it. Other than that, I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.